Hello YouTube, it is Hunter Surge, and we have some new card reveals to talk about. We might end up doing 3 news videos this week because I kind of don't want to wait a full day on covering the whatever stuff comes out with the stream if it's major stuff, but whatever. That's for tomorrow. That's tomorrow's problem. So today we're talking about the Liael and Nannaclir reveals. Also, we have some cards of the day stuff to go over. So let's get right into it. So first we have Nannaclear's Grade 1 double rare of Florus. When it's in your drop and you place a Grade 3 or greater Nannaclear on your Vanguard circle, you can revive it from your drop. If you already have a card with this card name on the field, you have to pay Soul Blast 1, but otherwise it's just completely free. And on boost, if your world is Stray Garden, you give any of your units power plus 5k, and then if you give that power at the end of the turn, it dies. This is alright. Like, these sorts of self-reviver cards are always pretty solid. Needing to ride is, like, not ideal. It really reinforces, like, Persona Ride or Die. And, like, this is a deck that kind of needs all the help that I can get, and the fact that it doesn't get, like, a reliable self-reviver is honestly kind of really annoying. Especially considering this is one that mirages without like super high benefit. Like, it's just a 13k booster effectively. It's a slightly more efficient 13k booster because the extra power it gets, you will be able to ensure it is going to be able to be reused by the attacker when you have the multi-attacking attacker. So that stuff's pretty solid, but like this is not great. And like, Nannaclir being a 4 attack deck, like, it really needs a lot of things to be going right for it, and this really does not feel like it. The other Nannaclir card that got revealed today is Belnor. This is a grade 3 double rare. If your world is Stray Garden, it gets power plus 5k, and on attack, it performs all of the following. If your world is Stray Garden, you can Soul Blast a Nannaclir from your you can Soul Blast a Nannaclir to give it plus 10k for the battle. And if it was stood by a Nannaclear's Vanguard's effect this turn, and its critical was not increased by the ability of a non-trigger effect, it gets critical plus 1 until end of battle, and at the end of that battle, you shove it into your soul. This is really not fantastic. So often when cards get previewed in the anime, there's like hidden text that makes them a bit better than they appeared, or like they'll appear really, really broken, and they're a bit toned down when we get the full version. We don't usually have such a complete picture. And as it turns out, we had a pretty complete picture of Belnor from the anime. And that picture was not particularly great because you may know that giving a crit to the restanding rearguard, the Nannaclir, the rearguard restood by Nannaclir, is something a deck could already do with the order. So it's a bit strange to just do that again, because this results in there being no upgrade to the deck's actual offensive capabilities. Like, you might be able to get bigger numbers with this because this does have a plus 5k on itself, and it gives itself another plus 10k. But let's talk about that plus 10k, by the way. One, it has to Soul Blast and Nannaclir, which is never a cost you really want to see, because it makes any deck that has this sort of cost is so much more dependent on Persona writing, and that just sucks. But the bigger thing is that okay, so this effect triggers brand attacks. This is obviously going to be the thing that you're going to restand with Nannaclear's effect, right? So like, okay, you're making me wait till Persona Ride to get this power. Surely I can get that power on both of the swings that this card is going to be doing, right? No! No, it's only a for this battle buff. Like, and you're not gonna have multiple Nannaclears in your soul, so it's like, well, choose which battle you want the power on, because you don't get it in both. You're not getting it on both because of the specificity of this cost. Like, What is going on here? It can't even go up to 3 crit by double dipping on crit gain with the order because it has that restriction on it. Um, I guess it allows you to use the order for board building instead of getting crit gain on something. I don't know what's going on with this deck, man. This deck is like weirdly bad. It's like okay, so like, it's not Garbo deck. Like it's not Finasher, but like it's so mid. Like this deck is just not doing anything special at all. I just don't know what's going on with this. Let's move on from this. Moving on, we have Liael's Common, Knight of the Vast Oswin. This is a grade 1 that on boost, if you have a grade 3 or greater Liael Vanguard, it gets power plus 2k for each card in your bind zone. Um, this card is a very strange design because like this sort of scaling booster can be nice. Um, but Liel is not a deck that's going to like continually build up how many cards it has in bind. It wants to get cards in its bind to then send 2 back so that I can use its extra perfect cards in a Morta. So like you're not continually building up the number of cards in your bind, you're paying those out to get a very strong benefit, which is the extra perfect cards. Um, so this card's just weird. This card doesn't actually make sense with how the deck plays, but it's a common. It's probably just it feels like just a throwaway. So like, that's whatever. It's whatever. We don't have to care about this. The other Liael reveal is its triple rare Settlement. So this is the new grade 2 we saw from the anime episode, and similarly to Belnor, this is like just everything we could very easily tell from the anime. It gets boost if you have a grade 3 or greater Liael Vanguard. And when it's bound by the ability of your Liael Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1, call to a back row rear, and at the end of that turn, bind this unit. Um, so like this card, I'm not sure this card feels like triple rare worthy, whatever that really means. But this card does feel like really solid. Um, like the fact that you can bind it from your drop, with Liel's effect, and then get it right onto the board feels really fantastic. It basically makes it a self reviver. The ability to like use it as an attacker and then and then when Neo attacks, bind it, bind it, call out whatever thing you have in your bind, a copy of it from the deck, and then call this element back out to the back row. That feels pretty fantastic. I think that's really, really nice. Like there's a lot of things going for this card. Its main issue, like on face, is that Liel already has several important soul costs, so like another soul cost may be hard to manage, but I believe the current builds were running Dissection Angel. So like you probably just have to cut Dissection Angel and then you can afford the soul cost that you need in the deck. Um but this card seems very, very, very solid. Very solid. Yeah, I do quite like what is going on with this card, even if it doesn't quite feel like triple rare. Um yeah. All right. Let's move on to the one day of cards of the day because yesterday was a break day for some reason, probably some Japanese holiday. Let's get into it. All right. Here we are over in cards of the day. We got a batch of 3 Levidras cards out of nowhere. Um, so first we have a grade 2 rare. This is something that I really want to talk about. So we're gonna go through it first. It's grade 2 rare. All the normal stats: 10k, 5k shield. When it's placed on rare, if you have a grade 3 or greater Levidras Vanguard, or if you reveal one from your ride deck, you can Counterblast 1, draw a card, and then you mill 1. Milling 1 is not super ideal, but this is like just another card that's like, okay, if you commit this early, you have the capacity to use Counterblast to replace it in your hand, so it's like a really nice early game commit. And then if it is on an Infinity Eyes marker and attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, it gets power plus 5k, and then you can pay Soul Blast 2 to choose an opponent's rear guard, and until the end of your opponent's next turn, it cannot intercept and it cannot stand during the stand phase. Um, This card is super nice. So like turning off intercept of a specific card is actually super strong right now. Like Ezra is the obvious one, but you also turn off block horse, which is very nice. Um, the paralyze effect can be very nice on some specific cards right now, like targeting a trick moon like this, and thus like slowing down Buff Sarga's ability to develop trick moons into their back row is super, super nice. Like, there's a lot of good stuff that this card is doing. But what's most notable is that this card is only a rare. So like, often with rares, they only have one effect, or if they have multiple effects, both effects are very simple. Um, and more importantly, this ride deck reveal effect that we've been getting a lot of lately, I don't think I can think of a single card that is below double rare that has had this. And in fact, I think most of the cards that have had this type of effect have been triple rare. Um, so this effect being on a rare is like potentially a big sign of design philosophy changes. We'll talk about this more when we get through the other Levidras cards, but the other cards aren't throwaways either. They feel like cards made with some intention. So like this is like a big problem that a bunch of legacy support waves have had in D is that it very much feels like they go into designing a support wave knowing one of these is going to be high rarity, and because they seem to go into the design process with that in mind, there is like a very clear huge divide between the foil card and the non-foil cards. And often the non-foil obligatory second card in the support wave will just be like worse than like generic cards being printed in the set, like low rarity generic cards being printed in the set. Um, Except it's also archetype locked. Like it's super super weird. Um, so like this wave might be an indication of some change in that, and that would be really really awesome because one of the really memorable things about G-Era is that G-Era would just like print like they would just create archetypes and print support legacy support waves entirely in low rarity, and like often these would be like very impactful to the meta. Like GPT-06 is a really easy example. Seven Seas wave of Slash Shade and Nightcrow and Night Runner. The best version of Grand Blue until GBT08 was Seven Seas, Seven Seas Stride specifically. Um, and that wave was crucial to that deck being what it was. Like that deck is not what it is without Slash Shade. Um, and in that same set, you also have Blaster Lou, the Blaster Friend Barkle and Floral Paladin Flogel, which was also meta defining, like completely redefined how the Sanctuary Guard deck was being played. And throughout those early days of G, you had a lot of stuff like that. Like almost every single set has some really impactful low rarity legacy support wave. So like if we get rid of that divide and like full legacy support waves end up being more real, that would be really cool to see. I would really love to return to that. So let us talk about the other two Levidras cards we have here. We have a grade 1 rare that when it's put into the soul by your card ability and you have a grade 3 or greater Levidras Vanguard, you countercharge 1 or energy charge 3. So the intention here is that you put this into the soul with Levidras Imperio's ability and sacrifice one of the Infinity Eyes markers you would generate by putting in a Levidras to instead get back some resources. Which is a really, really neat design. I do like this card. It does do some cool things for the deck. It like having this counter charge that you're potentially running can let you go a bit more roughshod with your counter blast usage, which is nice for the on-place effect of the grade 2 that we just talked about. Energy charge 3 also means that Kay brought this up in the different fight Discord. I think it was Kay. I believe it was Kay who said this. Um, but uh, but the energy charge means that going first, you will have enough energy to do your grade 2 ride line, ace unit, and still do an auto guster every turn, which can be significant. So like, not sure if this card will end up making the cut, but it does do some cool stuff. And then the last card is another grade 1 growing Draco Kid. When your grade 3 or greater Levidras Vanguard is attacked and you have an Infinity Eyes marker in the same column as this unit, you can retire it to give your Vanguard plus 10k power. So this is just like a effective like 10k intercept from the back row, which is like always a cool type of card. The way these specific cards tend to be designed makes it so that like if you're dealing with a battle dory with low enough power, you can just completely bypass it, which is always very nice. Like you combine this with like an Infinity Ice marker, and you can get 20k shield without having to commit anything to the actual Guardian Circle, which can be very nice for circumventing Baladores. Now, in fairness, that is just a bit too little to deal with the main Battledory in the format, which would be the Giant Fluff. On the second swing, you can expect the Giant Fluff to be 35 because it'll have plus 20 from its own effect and Heart Luru's effect, and if it's a Persona Ride turn, it'll be 45. That can be like I'm thinking about, and like if you combine this with an Infinity Arts marker and Twin Cast, that is enough to stop the Baldori swing, assuming no triggers, which is a hell of an assumption. But you know, I always have a soft spot for this style of card, even if they very rarely make the cut. Like I think the main time these types of cards make the cut is when they're doing something else. So like you have something you want to commit them to the board for already, and then they also do this thing. And this is not a case of that. But like this card's all right. I'm fond of it. But like the bigger thing is that both of these grade 1s don't feel like throwaways at all. They feel like cards that were made with intention. Um, and that's really cool. That's cool to see. Um, I really like this support wave, and I really hope it's indicative of a change in design philosophy going into the rest of this set and future sets. I really get the impression that DZ is about to end. That doesn't necessarily mean that like Akina is going to leave the show. Like I could see like a bunch of the DZ characters cycle out, but like Akina is still around. But I do feel like we are about to hit the end of DZ. And we'll find out tomorrow in the conference. But like I remember when D was ending, like in those last couple sets of D, you were starting to see some design shifts that really followed through into what DZ was doing. Like at the very end of D, you start seeing a bunch more willingness to like print good cards with shield gain effects. Like second to last set of D, you had the carbuncles, and then the last set of D had the grade 4 support dragons, which notably, if you can reveal a grade 4 in your hand, or if you have a grade 4 on your Vanguard circle, were 15k shields. And those were really big. Like there were also a bunch of promos that started coming out around that time that gained like 5k or 10k shield while also doing something else that was very useful. So like there was a very clear design shift already happening that was followed through in DZ proper. So like I'm not noticing any like major card design shift happening at the moment that like immediately screams, oh, this might be something that they're doing in the next era. But like this support wave being completely low rarity might be something. We'll just have to see. Only time will tell with that. It might just be that they ran out of storage high rarity slots, and they still want to put these cards in this set. Who knows? We'll find out together. But that's going to be it for me for today. So this is going to be Hunter Surge signing off.